NDIS Minister Bill Shorten wants to stop growth in the scheme and has called on the states to step up on disability support. Now, is it that simple? And doesn't the taxpayer have to foot the bill anyway? Joining me now is Sky News host Joe Hildebrand, whose best mate lives with quadriplegia. Joe, thank you for your time. Tell us about your mate and what's been his experience with the NDIS, mate.
Well, look, his experience with the NDIS has been both great and hair-pulling. So, obviously, the NDIS is a fantastic scheme. For him, it's been life-changing. But I'll take you through, I suppose, just some of the ironies. I'm really just speaking on his behalf, but he also worked in the disability sector in his state, so the state disability sector, and he's also an NDIS recipient. And he was a business intelligence analyst for a disability service provider. So he kind of knows both ends of the experience inside and out. So the first problem with the NDIS, I suppose, is that there are a lot of people in it who simply do not understand disabilities. They do not understand how various types, I mean, he's obviously got a very extreme disability, he's quadriplegic, but they simply do not understand the needs of, example, someone like him and what that would entail. And there's a lack of understanding there. The second thing is there are issues perhaps with communications and with information sharing. And he made the point that when he was working for his state-based agency, they were constantly getting updates from the Registry of Births, Deaths and Marriages. So as soon as there was a death, they would be told and they'd cross-reference it with their people. And obviously if that person was in receipt of some assistance, they'd just be crossed off the list. The other issue is with things like what's been called, I suppose, a lack of trust, which is people make ambit claims because they think that, and rightly so in the past, because they don't think they're going to get what they ask for, and they're scared that if they've got, for example, a degenerative condition or that they might need more support down the track, they're actually going to need that support now, and so they don't want it taken away from them in case they need it later. And that is a really critical one. So it's a bit like when your department spends all the money it's got like a drunken sailor before the end of the financial year because they know that they're going to get less than whatever they spend the next time. So people are claiming as much as they possibly can, I suppose, and hoarding whatever services they want they can get, because there's not that flexibility in the system. Say, listen, you have to be able to trust us that even if we're just going to give you, say, one support worker, this month, if you need to, we will make it two. Instead of saying, well, hang on a minute, you only ever needed one support worker before.
So, Joe, before we even go down the track of how much we spend and whether we should spend more, this is a qualitative problem that needs to be fixed up. Someone needs to get into the guts of this system, streamline it and basically make it work better.
Yeah, well, and I think, to be honest, Bill Shorten is actually doing a really good job. It was interesting, the three main things that my mate raised when I was diving into this issue and talking about it, they were actually the three things. I spoke to Bill Shorten just before he was elected, before the election, before he became minister. And these were actually the three things he raised. So it's getting people who actually understand disability and know what it means. So you're not actually having to tell them what you do and don't need. And secondly, making sure that the system is flexible so people aren't scared that if they don't need something or don't get something or don't ask for something in this quarter or this financial year, that means that the system is rigged against them in the future. And that is all about, and this is what Shorten has called trust. So when you actually believe that these people know what you're going through and are on your side. And that are the two crucial things. Not that if something changes, you call a line, no one answers, and they put you on to the lawyers.
Okay. How do we stop this blowing out where the NDIS is more expensive to administer than Medicare?
Well, that's a really, literally the million or the billion dollar question. And again, it's one of those things I said to you, if you are actually disincentivizing people, as it stands, you're disincentivizing people to just take what they need because you've got an agency that basically it takes an incredibly long time to deliver people things. So people think, well, God, if it's going to take me 2 or 3 months to get anything, then I better ask for everything and hope that it comes through for when I do need it. So it takes too long. And also it's not flexible. So again, people are encouraged to get whatever they can rather than just get what they need, knowing and trusting the system will be able to give them more if they need that in the future. And again, you've also got service providers, for example, who are saying to my mate or to other people, say, oh, well, you're going to need 2 people because that way they can clip 2 paychecks. Whereas the person might be saying, well, no, actually, I only need 1 person. Where you've got systems where people will be asking you if you're, if you're asking for any sort of other services, whether you qualify for the NDIS.
Yeah.
Like cleaning companies, for example, say, do you qualify for the NDIS? Oh, fantastic, it's Christmas. So this scheme is an absolute life changer. It's a lifesaver. We have to make sure it stays and we have to make sure it's sustainable. And the way you do that is by running it smartly and by making sure it's responsive to its customers.
And a lot smarter than what it is being run like at the moment. Joe, thank you very much for that.
Thanks very much, Chris. Always a pleasure, mate.
I think one of the problems he will have is trying to get the states to put their hand up and say, we'll take the disability service portion of the NDIS. Really?